I got that California.
Hey y'all, welcome back to It's RORO Time. Hey. Okay, so this video is going to be a little bit different. It's gonna be more of a serious video, and I'm gonna be talking about a serious topic, obviously, as you can see by the title. So I'm just gonna jump right in. And I'm sorry if I'm breathing hard. I'm kind of nervous to talk about this because it's something that's part of my private life. But I mean, that's what I started this channel for, is to open you guys up to my world and show my world and, you know, all that. So anyway, so this video is going to be about how to deal with a miscarriage, what it's like to go through a miscarriage, how you feel, well, how I felt through my miscarriage. And honestly, I'm still mentally and emotionally going through this, I don't know how to say it, but kind of just going through my miscarriage. So, but I noticed that a lot of people do not talk about miscarriages, and even the doctors, they don't, they're not very helpful with, they'll try to throw, well, do you want to talk to a counselor or whatever? No, I don't. I don't even know what I'm looking for. And I'm sorry that I look a hot mess. There's no makeup. I need to take this hairstyle down. But anyway, so this miscarriage just happened recently. And I know I'm still going to film a video with my son, introducing him, but this is after, since he's been born. So he's 9 months old, and I just had my miscarriage June 8th, I believe, or around that time. Anyway, so let's just kind of start off. So I one day was just feeling really weird, and I'm just okay, something is going on with my body. I don't know what it is, if I'm going through a hormonal change, or, what's going on? Why am I having these symptoms? Why am I going through this? What is going on? So I didn't tell anybody that I was going to be taking a pregnancy test at all. And I think I'm trying to think back. I think I had an extra pregnancy test underneath my sink in the bathroom. And I'm just dude, I really need to take this test, because I really need to find out am I pregnant? Because I kind of feel like I am. So I'm gonna just take this test. Well, it was late. I'm a stay-at-home mom, but I go out and do something, little things or whatever. So I got home and I came upstairs, I put the kids to bed, got them ready for bed, all that. And I was I'm gonna take this test. I took the test. Lo and behold, my husband was not getting off work until 2:00 a.m. So I ended up falling asleep. I took the test, and you have to wait for the time for it to process. Literally within the time of me waiting, I had laid down on the bed and went to sleep. So he got home around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning, and I don't know what he did. I don't know if he was making noise or whatever, but it woke me up. And so I had to go to the bathroom again. So then I went to the bathroom and saw the test sitting on the counter. And I'm oh my gosh, I completely forgot that I took a test, So then I look, and I don't know why I look around, but I looked and I saw on the pregnancy test a very faint line. Now, anybody who's been pregnant or gone through pregnancies or took pregnancy tests know that when you see a very faint line, that means that you're pregnant, but probably your HCG levels, which is hormonal something, I don't know, levels or whatever. It's your hormone level. That means that it's kind of low. You're not that far along, basically. So then I'm okay, no, there's a faint line there. Maybe, something's going on, or I don't know, whatever. So then that next morning, I was no, seriously, I really need to go take another test. Like, I want to see if I'm really pregnant. I mean, obviously I'm pregnant, but you know, I just want to see if I'm pregnant. So I went and got a digital test because sometimes I feel like those are more accurate. I don't know, but it says that it takes 5 minutes to load. It took less than 5 minutes to load. It took like, I'm pretty sure it was like 38 seconds or something like that it took to load. And it immediately said pregnant. And so I'll put in a clip in this video of like me, I guess my reaction. I didn't really show my face, but. Okay guys, so last night I took a test and I don't know if you guys can see. There's a faint line. And now I'm taking a digital one to see what this one says. I'll put in a clip if you guys want to see that. But so I was like, oh my gosh, like I'm about to have a 4th child. Like, and anybody who knows me like knows that I like kids and I like to be pregnant. So I literally like, and sorry if you hear my kids in the background, but I was like kind of excited but then nervous at the same time. And so I was just like told Gabriel like I'm pregnant, you know. And I know, like, you know, people do the videos and, you know, telling their husband and, you know, surprise. And I was just like, look, we've had 3 kids. Like, it's not really a surprise anymore. It's kind of like, it's more like, when are you going to get pregnant? You know, like if you're not taking birth control or whatever. And so you know, days went on and, you know, I wasn't feeling like I normally feel when I'm pregnant. I just had like that weird feeling, you know, of like that I'm pregnant, you know. And so then I started having some cramping. Well, I normally do have that, but I do get nervous because, I mean, like just with, I know that I'm overweight. Like I know that I'm pretty healthy for the most part, but obviously my weight is a big thing. And, you know, I hadn't been eating as healthy as I should have been. Like, so, yeah. So I went into the hospital and, you know, they checked my levels. So they always check your levels to see what your levels are. And then like in a couple days later, they check them again to see if they've gone up. So I checked my levels and then they also did an ultrasound. Well, they couldn't see the baby, but from my last period, they were saying that I was probably about 5 weeks pregnant. And so I'm like, wow, like, and that is early too, because normally I don't find out that I'm pregnant until I'm almost 2 months, basically. So then I, you know, left the hospital and I was still having the cramping, but it wasn't really bad. Then a couple more days went by and I was over my little sister's house and I had been having like slight cramping that day, but it wasn't like terribly bad. But then I got up and I was sitting on the floor, we were watching a movie, playing with the kids and stuff, and I got up and I felt something kind of like drizzle out, which this is going to be TMI. So if you don't want to hear the TMI, then don't watch the video or fast forward. So I felt a little bit of drizzle come out and I'm like, okay, what is that? Like, I really need to go to the bathroom. And so I went to the bathroom. Lo and behold, I look in the toilet and there's blood and I'm like, oh my gosh, like, you know, I instantly, you know, I feel like mothers have an instinct and I like already had a feeling that something was wrong with this pregnancy. Like, you know, I just felt some type of way. So then I go and I call the doctor. I go home and then I call my doctor the next day and I'm like, hey, you know, I'm having some cramp. Like then the next day the cramping was like really, really bad. And then the bleeding was not really heavy, but it was like coming, you know, like you could tell that it was like spotting, but then it was like coming on. And I had spotting earlier that day, but I knew that you could spot with pregnancy. So I didn't make any, you know, big deal about it. But then the next day with the cramping, it was like even worse. So then I called them and I was like, no, like the cramping's like really, really bad. You know, it almost feels like contractions or a really, really bad period cramp. And they were like, well, if you feel like it's really bad, then you need to go in. And I'm like, okay, I'm gonna try to be tough, because who wants to keep going to the ER all the time? Obviously not me. So I'm like, I'm gonna be tough, like I'm gonna deal with this. But then that night, my husband didn't get off till 2 a.m. again. And I was just like, no, I really have to go into the hospital, because I'm cramping so bad that like I can't do it. Like it's hurting. And then the blood had picked up. So they say like if you're going through one pad every hour or something like that, then you definitely need to go in. And I was like, it was really heavy. So I went into the hospital, they checked my levels again, and they noticed that my level it went up, but it had only went up a little bit from the second time that they had checked it. And I'm like, okay, like that's concerning. And well, I'm sorry, no. The second time it only had went up a little bit. But then when I went into the hospital with the cramping, it went down by like 65 points, which is not a lot, but then it is a lot, because it should not be going down. It's actually supposed to be like doubling or whatever, and it wasn't. So I was just like, oh, you know, when she said that. Then they did an ultrasound again, and they still couldn't see the baby. They couldn't see anything. All I could tell was that my uterus, I think, or like the wall or something, was getting thicker, so they could tell that there is a pregnancy like going on, but it's not like the baby's not forming. So they came in the room and they told me, and I was just crying, but I was trying not to bawl cry, because we had all our kids with us, and like my kids are kind of sensitive to emotion. So then they'll be like trying to figure out, okay, what's going on with mommy, you know, like that. So I was trying to be like strong, but then I was like sad at the same time, because something told me like, you're losing this baby, like, you know, something's going on. So anyway, after I went into the hospital, then like, you know, they told me everything. Well, then I went home, they checked me out, and they basically told me that you're having a threatened miscarriage, which is basically a miscarriage, but for their terminology, they say it however they want to say it, I guess. And so then I went home, and I just was trying not to be in my feelings, but I was definitely feeling some type of way. And they told me, you know, you need to follow up with your doctor, and you're gonna have to get another HCG level, and you know, basically to see if it's going down again. So then I called my OBGYN the next morning. They scheduled me for an appointment to come in with them, and they did test my HCG levels again, and they were going down. Well, in this time, I'm just thinking to myself, you know, I think what every woman probably thinks is, what did you do? Like, what did I do that caused me to lose my child? What did I do? And people say that, you know, okay, I'm just trying to figure out how to put this, like, without getting emotional. But people say, like, you know, it's no big deal, like, you know, all those kind of things. But it is a big deal, because for me, someone who likes to be pregnant, who likes to have kids, and like, you know, my kids are like, you know, my everything. Like, I love my kids. I want the best for my kids. I want them to live their best life, you know, which I'm pretty sure any parent would want. So for me, the moment that I know that I'm pregnant, I have a bond with that child. Like, I feel some type of way automatically, whether I feel the baby or not in my stomach. Like, you know, a lot of people say, well, I don't feel anything for the baby until the baby starts moving or kicking or whatever. No, I feel it like instantly, you know. And so for me, even though the miscarriage was still early in my pregnancy, I was 7 weeks miscarrying. So I was 7 weeks, and that's when I had my miscarriage. And it was just hard for me, because honestly, I really, really felt like alone. I felt like I was by myself. I mean, I kind of still feel that way. Like, yes, I'm married and I have my husband, but he doesn't understand it. He has told me, I don't understand what you're going through. All I can do is be here for you. So when someone doesn't understand it and you feel all alone, it's just like, exactly that, like you feel all alone. And then I, you know, dealt with like postpartum depression after my son, and so I had just got out of, you know, like trying to be happy, trying to find myself, trying to do things differently to where like I could be happy within myself. And I was just getting to that point. And then now I feel like this miscarriage is just like bringing me down back again. And it's just like, why? You know, like people don't talk about depression. People don't talk about like the things that you can go through with pregnancy or the like miscarriages and stuff like that. And I feel like it should be talked about more, because I don't want any woman to feel any less, any like nothing. Like, you know, when you lose a child, I want you to be able to go through that and like try to realize that maybe, you know, like people would say, well, maybe it's not God's plan and like all this kind of stuff, which I totally believe that maybe it's not God's plan. Maybe God has a different plan for your life. And I understand that. But at the same time, it's like we as women have our feelings. We feel some type of way about certain things. And I felt and do feel some type of way about this miscarriage because I've had 3 kids. I mean, how is it that I've had 3 kids and now I have a miscarriage? You know, like, it is hard to understand. It's hard to like think about. And it's just, for me, I'm just trying to realize that, yeah, like people would say, you know, you just need to move on or get over it, or, you know, whatever. Like, don't tell somebody that, because this is like sensitive. If they feel sensitive about it, that's them. Like, let them feel sensitive about it. Don't sit there and minimalize their feelings. Like, I'm not telling you when you break your toe, I'm not telling you it doesn't really hurt. Like, why are you sitting there crying about a broken toe? I'm not saying that. So then you don't know what I'm feeling when I'm going through something. Like, and it's not a selfish thing or whatever people think, but or a pity party. I mean, I'm not looking for a pity party either. I'm just saying that when you go through something, it's what you're going through, you know? So I just don't want any woman to feel any less. Like I said, I have questioned, I have had anger, I've had just so many thoughts in my brain of this whole miscarriage situation, because this is my first like real miscarriage. I did between my girls, I think I did have a chemical pregnancy, but it was like where I took a pregnancy test and it was positive, but then I like took another one and then it wasn't positive. So, but this is the first time that I've actually had like full-blown miscarriage where I'm like cramping, bleeding, like the whole 9 yards. And I really think that physically and mentally it has taken a toll on my body. And so I'm just trying to realize that I'm just trying to like I'm sorry that I'm stumbling over my words, but I'm trying to think, you know, of all these things as to what's going on, like what is causing this, like why am I feeling this way, you know, like how am I supposed to feel, you know, like how are you supposed to feel about a miscarriage? I mean, like I said, I think people minimalize the whole thing too much, and that it is something serious. Like some people, so I had 1 miscarriage, but I know people who have had multiple miscarriages. I know of people who have had like a lot of miscarriages and then they have to go through IVF, or they, you know, they're trying to get pregnant, or they end up going surrogacy because they've had so many miscarriages that they kind of just, they give up. And mentally that does something to you. Like mentally that makes you feel a certain way. And I, like I said, I don't want any woman to feel that way. Like I don't want them to feel like, what's wrong with your body? Like, you know, why are you going through this or whatever. So I feel like it's definitely something that there should be more awareness. Like the doctor should even more talk to you. I mean, even to the point when I was kind of like telling my doctor how I felt, they resorted to, okay, well, you need to see a psychiatrist. And it's like, okay, or a social worker or whatever. And it's like, maybe, you know, I don't want to talk to those people about what I'm going through. I mean, here I am talking to the world or whoever's going to watch my video about what I'm going through. And even that was hard, and I contemplated, okay, should I make this video? Which is why it's not like a formal video, it's not like an impromptu video, like this is just me, this is my life. And like I said, I want my channel to be real, and I want me to talk about things that are like important, things that I feel like are important for people to understand and know about. And so this is me, this is how I feel. So I really thank you guys for watching this video and like me kind of talking about my miscarriage. If any of you have experienced having a miscarriage, you know, feel free to, like, you can talk to me. I mean, like I said, it's good to have a support system, and I feel like through this I did not have that as much. But I will say that my brother's sister, I mean, one of his sisters, she definitely like helped me kind of like understand and kind of get through. And then my little sister, she did not understand it, but she was there. So like if I call her and be like, today is just not a good day, or today I don't feel like talking, or whatever, like she would just be there for me. And I feel like when someone goes through that, like that's what you need. You just need a support system, someone who's gonna be there for you, someone who's gonna support you no matter how you feel. You know, like if you don't feel like getting out of bed, you just don't feel like getting out of bed. And for me, I wasn't the type of person where the doctor tells you that you need to rest during your miscarriage. I could not sit in the house. Like I could not just be in this house. It was really, really hard for me to be at home. So I literally, that weekend, I think it was the beginning of the week is when I started my miscarriage, or the middle or something like that. But then the end of the week, we had already planned that we were going to like an amusement park through my husband's job. And I was having a miscarriage and I still went because like that's how bad it was. I could not be at home. I felt like if I sat at home, I literally was just going to lay in the bed and cry, like not eat, like nothing. And I didn't want to do that. Like I'm sitting here trying to force myself constantly not to get into the depression, like fighting it constantly, because I don't want to get to that point. I don't want to just be like laying in the bed. I mean, I have kids. I can't just lay around and like not take care of my kids. And so I'm forcing myself, Rochelle, you can't get depressed. Like you can't, like, yes, you can have time to like process, but you still gotta be making moves. You still gotta live life. Like you can't, your whole life does not stop because of this. And so that's where I'm at. And like I said, I really appreciate you guys listening to me telling my story. I'd love to hear some of your stories or how you guys got through miscarriages, because like I said, I'm still mentally and emotionally going through the process of like trying to get over my miscarriage. I mean, it just happened like a couple weeks ago. So I don't even know how to end this video, really, honestly, but because it's such a heavy topic and I kind of like want to make light of at the end. But don't forget to leave a comment down below. Tell me your story if you have one. And don't forget to give this video a thumbs up, and don't forget to hit that subscribe button, and we will see you next time on the next video. Peace.